This conference will now be recorded.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Mitchell County Board of Supervisors meeting. It's Tuesday, April 29th, 2025. The meeting is available by GoToMeeting as well. We have an agenda in front of us. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Dan made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Todd, second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes. Approve the minutes of the April 22nd meeting. I know we had quite a few of them changed. Does everyone got the correct ones?
Make a motion for the April 22nd meeting.
Mark made a motion. Is there a second?
I second it.
Pam, second. Any further discussion?
Roll call, Mark.
Aye.
Pam.
Aye.
Sydney.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. County Attorney.
Okay, I guess the only thing I had to talk about here is it's on the agenda, the public comment policy. I forwarded a copy to everybody before. A couple of things I would say is, I think I brought this up 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't remember when it was, but anyway, I've had some people ask before about, why now, why now? Some people think it's connected to one thing or another. I would just briefly say that my thinking on this is from a legal perspective, not a policy perspective. You guys make the policy. From the legal perspective, sometimes, maybe not a lot, but once in a while, there's been some meetings where I thought certain things got said that was not best said at a public meeting. And that's what kind of sparked my interest in this. Some people have asked me whether it has to do with the pipeline or this or that, and I tend to be a pretty upfront, forward guy, and I can tell you that that's not what I was thinking when I put this together. Although I would say sometimes those maybe go a little long too. But anyway, that wasn't behind my my thinking. I am a believer in public comment. It's not legally required. I think it's good government personally as a citizen. So I wouldn't personally advocate anything that takes that away. But I just had some of those concerns. That's why I put this together. I've also had an email or two from somebody suggesting that maybe public comment be at the beginning of the meeting. And I've said, well, that's not my decision. I mean, it's not my decision, and maybe there'll be no policy at all. I don't know. But I thought I would pass that along because somebody asked me, and I thought, well, yeah, I'll pass that along. I mean, on the one hand, I think the reasoning is, well, that if the public could comment before a vote is taken, that would be good. And I was like, yeah, I can certainly see the rationale behind that. I mean, so anyway, that's neither here nor there. Some of this public policy, comment policy, I think I advised you before. I try to be a reasonably intelligent person. Sometimes maybe I succeed more than others, but I also try not to necessarily reinvent the wheel. This is a model off some other public comment policies from other counties that I guess apparently they think works for them. And so I modeled it after that. Some of this is just kind of random, right? I had to put in something. I mean, 30 minutes, I don't know if you want to do 30 minutes. Maybe you want to do more, maybe you want to do less. 3 minutes, maybe you want to do more, maybe you want to do less. Maybe you don't want any policy at all. But anyway, I said I would put something together. You asked me to, and that's what I've got, but it can certainly be tweaked to change however you like. I guess that's all I have. Oh, wait, just one more thing. I was I was gonna say, a question was asked, I think it was last week, is like, well, does this apply to like the sheriff when the sheriff takes comments? And I think I said, well, yeah, maybe it should. But I don't know. I got to think, yeah, and like I said, all this is your decision, but it wouldn't have to apply to the sheriff. I mean, the things don't really seem to go off the rails, so to speak, when the sheriff is speaking. And people like to ask him questions, and it's like, okay, maybe that doesn't need to, maybe nothing needs to change, but there's maybe when the sheriff gives his update, if somebody has questions, maybe that's great. What better time maybe to ask than then? I don't. But I guess the same goes for me. If somebody had a question, it's like, well, I'm here. I guess I don't object, right? It's not my intent to cut anybody off. It's just, I thought maybe things could, maybe at times run just, maybe a little more smoothly. So anyway, those are my thoughts. You guys are the decision makers, so anyway, that's. Anybody has any questions? Happy to take them.
I don't have a question. I guess I'm in favor of a little bit different policy than what just as compared to being an open forum. It's kind of what it kind of turned into. This is a business meeting for us. By all means, want the public to be able to say something. I think that's very important. Regards to the sheriff or even the elected officials, if they have a question for somebody in the public, by all means, I think that's part of our meeting to run our meeting, how we feel we should do it. If we have a question for the public, an individual, we can ask them. Same way with the sheriff, it's a good way for him to touch base with the people, if that's what he wants to do. I like what you put together. It's not restricting public comments, it's just saying, no, we're gonna have some sort of order with what we're going to do here.
So does that change, like, they won't be able to speak in any of the bullet points at all during the meeting? They can only speak at the end? Is that how we're putting it, or is that just a guideline for the public comments at the end?
Oh, I'm not sure I understand the question.
So like, we have an agenda item.
I see.
We sometimes, they
Yep.
have good information to give us.
Yep.
And we like to listen to it. So does that mean for those agenda items, we can't call out into the public? Or is this policy only for the end of the meeting, public comments?
I see what you're asking now. So the way I drafted this, it would have all public comment at the end.
Okay.
Doesn't have to be that. What you just suggested, or I don't know if you suggested it, but what you
What?
mentioned.
Yeah.
Is a spot for public comment after each item. You know what? That doesn't sound like a terrible idea either. You can limit it. But the way I had drafted it, and again, this is the way a lot of other places do it, this is kind of the way I did it, is it has public comment at the end. Now, I've had some people, like I said, I've had some people say, well, maybe it ought to be at the beginning, because then people could comment before a vote. I can't argue with that. That makes sense. It's in your guys' hands. You fashion it however you like it. If I had to tweak something, I would do it. My job is to help you guys run your meeting, not tell you how you need to run your meeting.
Anyone else have?
Yeah. So I like the idea of not holding public comments until the very end of a meeting, just for the very reason that Sydney just spoke about, that if you're speaking on a subject and that's what people came to listen to and are genuinely interested in, that might be the time to allow that. And the chair typically does a really good job of monitoring people in their time. So in that term, I don't like to wait till the very end of a meeting, as far as that's concerned. The order of speaking, you have that individual speakers may sign up at board meetings on a form, and will be called in order. And I can see where if you had a packed room, having a list of people, so maybe because you have may sign up, and then, so maybe we have that they may be called in order instead of will be.
Yeah,
You know.
that would be, I mean, like you said, some of this is,
Yeah, I can see if you have a packed room, that something
Because I
like that
just-
might
yeah.
be
and
beneficial.
and what you're saying makes sense. I mean, all
Yeah.
of what you're saying makes sense. And like I said, this is kind of a model from somewhere else. So, yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. I mean, whatever you guys prefer. Whatever works for you.
Well,
It's a
so,
order.
Order of speaking, that it says individual speakers may sign up in
Oh, okay.
person
Got it.
at the board meetings. The other thing that I think might extend our meetings maybe unnecessarily is if each person that speaks has to get up from their chair and meander to the front. If maybe instead of doing that, if we have to have and I don't know, Ryan, if that's possible, a microphone that we can hand that, you see that at meetings various times. Otherwise, I'm afraid that part of it will take a whole lot of time. I like the idea of announcing who you are. I think that's a good idea.
Maybe people just sit where they are, like
Yeah.
they've done. That's,
And just say, I'm so-and-so, and,
this is just
You know.
something I put together. It's a
Yeah.
start.
Yeah.
You have to fashion it
right.
in a way that works for you, works for the public.
But I'm a firm believer that, we're elected by the people that we serve, and if we have board meetings, public board meetings, we should allow them to ask questions or to make a comment.
I agree with that. If they come to the meeting and take time out of their day, I think we should let them speak. They don't get out of hand like
Yeah, we
state or
haven't had any.
national programs.
I don't, when I thought of this, I was thinking of specific situations,
Right.
right? That really don't have a damn thing to do with the way the public has acted. I emailed the other day and said the
Right.
public
Yeah.
generally is not the issue.
Yeah.
There are occasions when there have been other issues. So sometimes those issues mean that it affects everybody else. And, so to the extent anybody thinks I'm trying to say there shouldn't be public comment, number one, it's not my job to decide that there should be public comment. Number two, I think I've made it pretty clear, I'm not advocating that there be no public comment. Maybe there doesn't need to be a policy at all. I would suggest, however, that every once in a while, if somebody starts to go off on something, you get that little bit of hair on the back of your neck starts to go up, where this is going off the rails, then that's when stuff has to be curtailed from a legal perspective. That's what I'm saying.
Do you
I
think,
agree with that.
Yeah.
But I don't see, if somebody has a input on a topic, I think they should be allowed to speak.
I don't disagree. I don't think anything in here suggests otherwise.
do you think it would be a good idea to start every meeting with just a simple statement or two that, states that we will accept public comment called at the point of the chair, and you'll be limited to 3 minutes, and we ask that you state your name before your questions. And maybe if we state that up front, I think people will abide by that if we ask them to be courteous and respectful.
But didn't we have that on a laminated piece of paper at one time?
Oh, okay. I don't know. Okay, well, there you go.
We'll see there.
Certainly not an original thought.
Yeah, no, I'm not, I don't know what that says, but I can gather what it says by what was just described. But, it might be something as simple as, hey, I got a question on this. Okay, who are you? Oh, Aaron Murphy. Okay, we're gonna give you a little bit here. What do you got? And then I speak. Maybe you do that during the meeting when things are being discussed. I don't know. What I'm trying to protect against is kind of the stray things that come about sometimes.
That's,
I'm beating around the bush a little bit, but I'm doing it on purpose, so.
that's a little more loose than what you've got.
Yeah.
Again, I don't have a problem with what you have here, but that is a policy that previous boards decided to use, so.
Yeah, my job is purely from a legal perspective to board off any legal problems or to advise on it.
Todd, you have anything?
Well, I'm definitely in favor of public comment. Either way, it seems like a lot of times I've gotten emails or calls or something. People have called me to put their input in and, so, we gotta have broad shoulders, I guess. And, if I'm correct, Board of Supervisors do not have to speak during public comment.
Correct. During.
I mean, if
the comment was
things get a little hairy, we don't have to speak to, do we?
No.
I mean, I think I was always told that it's good to have public comments on your agenda because you're representing the people, but I was told we don't have to speak during public comment.
And that's not I don't have any concerns over what supervisors have said during these meetings. That's not,
The concerns that I have had, when I say public forum, public forums are a lot different than our business meeting. And I'll just use an example, and this has happened, and it's happened a number of times, where an individual has a public comment, and then another individual wants the public comment off of that individual's comment and elaborate on that. And pretty soon we have different things going on out here, and it's not our meeting. It's comments on top of comments, and that's public forum. And I'm not for public forum, because that's not what this is about. If you want a public forum, go to the CRC, go to the St. Ansgar to the Square, hold your public forum up there. But this is a business meeting for the Board of Supervisors.
anyway, it makes, I'll tell you, it makes, once I leave, I've done my job. I've given certain advice, and basically that advice is, boil it down, is I'm not concerned really basically with anything you guys say. I'm not really particularly concerned with anything quote unquote public has said. I'm beating around the bush, I'm doing it on purpose. And I'm not gonna be any more specific publicly, but I could be privately. And there's just certain things that have sometimes seem to hijack the meeting, and it's like, okay, I'm not some prim and proper guy saying, oh, that's against etiquette. We don't want to do that. Etiquette, I believe in please and thank you, and other than that, I don't know. I'm kind of a free-for-all kind of guy. But there once in a while something happens where if I'm watching, and it's just like, oof, kind of things kick me back a little bit. I think, oh, I wish that wouldn't happen. That's
I would
what I'm
have,
talking about.
I would like to talk to you more about this tomorrow. So if we don't take a vote on it, that'd be great, but there is discussion, possible action. I would like a little bit more time.
Oh, yeah.
That's just my thoughts.
I'm good with that.
Good with that? Okay. All right, thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
See that sheriff is not here. We will move on to department head discussion. Good morning. Oh, Ryan first.
I snuck in there, that's why I was there, Shannon. Okay, just a couple quick things. I'm gonna be going to Howard County on Thursday and Friday to do a tech team assessment, just like what Mitchell had done. This will be my second or third, I can't think off the top of my head, but they're invaluable. I really look forward to them. I get to see other places, how they handle all their stuff, and every time I come away with something that we can improve here. I had to go to Stacyville today to fix a fax machine, if anybody would like to come with. Help me out, might get lonely on the drive. Pam wants to come. Yeah, right. Still working on the new computers. There's one left in the sheriff's office to upgrade, and then everything else I'm done until June. I'll get that done this week. Same with the phone system. One thing I did want to bring up to the supervisors and who's listening in the county, I had a lot of questions come up about information that's on our computers within the county. I just want to make it, and this is important to me for people to understand. I just want everybody to know that there's no such thing as private information on the computers. So say, for instance, you were to log into to check your bank account while you're on your computer during a lunch or whatever, which usually isn't a problem. Any of that information is accessible by anyone with admin access, such as myself, or if someone to break into the system, they then could get access into any information that's on the computer. So I just don't want there to be any expectation of privacy on any of the devices owned by the county. Because simply there's people who can access everything there. So I just want everybody to be aware of that and be a thought process once they do those things, that nothing that is done cannot be seen by myself or whoever would want to be seen. I just want people to know that so they can make informed decisions of what they do on computers. That's about all I got. Anything else, guys? You good? All right, thanks for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So if we have some questions after the solutions part, or maybe like next week, is that something that you might be able to?
Yeah, give me till next week. I still need to read through it, and you know how those text documents are. My eye blurs after about 10 minutes of it. But yeah, I'll be reading it this week. I'll answer whatever I can.
Thanks.
Thank
Yep.
you.
You ready to go, Shane?
I know I'm later down, but I just had an issue yesterday about 3 hours of emails back and forth with an individual. So I thought I'd just take the opportunity to discuss the delinquent notices that go out from the treasurer's office. We mailed them out last week. They sound scary. They are a legal process. We have to inform individuals. You haven't paid your property taxes, they will go to tax sale the third Monday in June. It's Iowa law. That is part of the legal notification process, as well as our publication in the paper. I had a person very upset because I was so scary. And I understand that. The people that don't get it very often, they are worded very scary. Just like your CDL, when you miss your med cert on your CDLs, we have a lot of individuals come in, they're scary, there's a reason for it. It's a legal notice that says you're gonna lose credentials. This is a legal notice that we're gonna sell your property taxes to an investor who in 2 years can take ownership of your property. So I spent 3 hours back and forth with an individual. Also, Mitchell County Treasurer's website is a payment portal. It is not an ownership document. Just look and see who owns what. We, July 1, who we mail tax statements to is who's on the treasurer's portal. We don't know who's going to buy your property then 4 months later, 5 months later. It is a billing portal. The ownership of property and deeds are in the recorder's office. They're in the assessors. They're in the auditors. So if you get on our treasurer's website, it won't show if you bought a property after July 1. It's not going to be in your name because you didn't own it when we billed it. We billed it to the people that are responsible for the bill. Therefore, they need to pay that bill, or someone in the sales document, it says who pays the taxes. Someone might keep the curtains and the dishwasher because they're going to pay the taxes. We don't know that. It's all part of the negotiation. So it was a long morning yesterday dealing with an individual who was very upset that we were trying to take her property and we are misleading the public. We are not. We don't have crystal balls. Everything that we do is guided by code. So those individuals that got one of the 380 letters that we sent out with nothing, we're not targeting anyone. I just wanted to let everyone know that if you get calls or something, it's all a legal process. And if they have questions, they can call us. Their ownerships are recorded as when they're filed in the assessor's and the auditor's office. That is current up-to-date information. We can look at that, but we unfortunately are stopped at July 1 where we billed the individual. So if you know who owned your property before you, look under their name because that's where it is. Anybody can pay the taxes. The number that you need to be able to pay taxes is the tax receipt number. Hint, when you go on the website in the lower left corner, it says view statement. Click on it, your receipt number's there. It's not a hidden anything that we're trying to hide. It's just a, you know, a process. I just wanted to get that out there. If you guys get phone calls, there are people that they don't get the delinquent notices. They are scary for a reason, because it is a legal notice. So we're not trying to do anything to anyone or take the properties. I want to get that out there. We are 99% collected out of 27,800,000. We have $260 to go, or 260,000. So that's pretty dang good. I'm happy with that. And we have had about 100 people in the last 5 days pay their taxes because they got the notice. And it doesn't matter how much it is. If you're delinquent and it's not postmarked, you get charged $4, $3. Treasurer's orders are done. We close our books on March 31st. The individuals or the county and the cities and the schools all get their money based on what was collected. If it's collected after the end of the month, you do get a penalty. No exceptions. Only exceptions would be granted is if they want to come down to this meeting and have a reason that you guys think is a good reason for them to be late. Then you, by code authority, can waive their penalty. I can't waive their penalty. It's law, and I won't. I'm not going to set a precedence by waiving penalties. Go by postmarks. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Jenny? Sorry, you both stood up at the same time.
You guys need a list for
This
all
is
of
a
you.
competition this
Yeah.
morning.
Amanda?
My Board of Adjustment is gonna be needing another member of the board. Someone, as of yesterday, has stepped down due to personal reasons, so that falls on you guys to find someone to replace them. The term for that would actually be up for renewal, or they wouldn't renew come November 1st of 2026. So they would either finish out this term and then renew, or they would finish out this term and then you guys would have to find someone else at that time. So
Do you go by sections or is
you guys determine that. I don't,
which portion of the county is this one? coming from?
this one came out of just north of St. Ansgar, but I guess I don't have anyone in Stacyville if you're looking. I have someone towards closer to Wrightsville. I have 2 in Osage, and I have 1 in St. Ansgar right now, so. If you guys are looking to broaden it throughout the county, I would say that would probably be the best spot.
Male or female? Doesn't matter.
This one is male, and I've got, let's see. I've got 3 females and a male currently, so if you need someone, it probably would be good to have a male if you want to keep it even. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jen,
Hello. So I don't have a lot for you either. We had our MCEDC board meeting last night and just a couple things. There was 2 construction loan applications approved, and so I'll get those on the agenda and I'll get that information to Rachel, so you guys will have that next week. And then also our long-term board member, Mark Jensen, has stepped down from his position, so it looks like we have somebody to replace him, so that will also be on the agenda, just because with our 28E, you guys have the final approval with that. And then there's also been an open seat over there for quite some time, and I think we have somebody that's interested in that, so maybe we'll have both of those seats filled. And then, I don't know, I just want to let you guys know that, I guess I've just been listening to this, you guys considering HR and that sort of thing. And I guess I just ask if you guys do move forward with HR, if you just kind of keep economic development in mind. Just because I think I guess I especially would be interested in having HR coverage and stuff. I know that we're not county employees, we're under the umbrella. But I think sometimes being able to have access to HR, they provide a lot of that expertise that I don't necessarily have. So maybe just keep it in mind, even if we have to pay a portion or if we can figure out something. I just wanted to let you guys know that I think that it would be highly beneficial for us to be able to have some sort of HR coverage for our department. Any questions for me?
Did you attend the housing conference?
I did attend the housing conference, so that was last Thursday, and so it was actually a really good turnout. So this was organized by NIACOG. And then a lot of us county economic development groups helped with it, and they had a lot of other people helping as well. So I think our goal was 200 people, and I don't know officially what the final number was. We had a lot of walk-ins that day, and signed up, like, I think we had 15 or 20 walk-ins, but we had some good representation from the county. Pam was there, Todd was there, we had city officials there, Darla Olson from Iowa State Extension, Trevor Olson from the bank, just a lot of familiar faces, so that was nice. So I did attend, and I didn't get to see it all because I had to work at it, but from what I sat in on, it was helpful, and hopefully you guys thought it was helpful. Pam and Todd that attended, so. It's probably not gonna be like an annual event, but maybe like every 2 years or that sort of thing.
Any takeaways from it? Any speakers or anything?
I mean, I think just something to explore further is like what's available for incentives for different things. Because I know that there was like some incentives that were brought to our attention that like even us economic development groups were like familiar with, and so just maybe some follow-up on that, exactly what those incentives look like, and like who, who's done them and that sort of thing.
Incentives related to what?
Housing, yep, housing for sure. What else? That's what I can think of right now. So, I'll let you know, if stuff comes back to me. So like, I mean, I'm gonna print out the slides and stuff and kind of go through it and then reconnect with Iowa State. So Iowa State Extension, they were there presenting, and so I'm just gonna reconnect with them just to make sure I understand things like correctly. So.
She was pretty busy with helping out with the event. They kept you pretty busy that way.
So, yeah.
And they did say they were gonna allow those presentations. I haven't seen anything, but that they were gonna allow some of them to be downloaded, so if you wanted to.
I think if you scan the QR code, then you'll
Yep,
get
then
all
you
the
can
slides
get it,
and stuff, so that's what my plan is. You know, Debbie Durham was there, she's a Iowa Economic Development Director and the Iowa Finance Authority Director, and so she was there, and she always speaks, and I didn't get to see that part, but I think the takeaway from her is, you know, you hear about the workforce a lot and the workforce shortages and that sort of thing. And she just kind of like verifies that we just don't really have enough population in Iowa, you know, to cover all the jobs. I mean, there's more job openings than people. And, you know, just birthing is like the best way to, you know, help, you know, with that situation and stuff. But she always has good things to say, so.
One thing I picked up on is, there isn't enough people for our jobs, but, interesting that the people coming from out of state, California, Illinois, Minnesota, even Nebraska, you know, so people are coming here to live. So what do we hear for a complaint? No place to live, housing. So they're coming, they just gotta pick and choose where there's housing and where there isn't.
And that Hawaii was a surprise.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was a surprise to everybody in the
Yeah.
room. A lot of good information.
All right, any other questions?
Nope, thank you.
All right.
We all received an email from Andrea Woodward from ISAC. I was just wondering if any of you have filled out that form or plan to, or if you want me to do it, about them coming to do like a 2-hour, they want a 2-hour block for an open house town hall style event.
I did not fill it out.
I haven't filled it out yet. I was going to, but I was gonna wait till I got into the office to
But
do
it said
that.
only one of us
Yeah.
can
Yeah,
do
there's
it.
one
But
person
only
fill
one
out.
can do it, so.
And what do you guys think? Do you want one of us to fill it out or Rachel?
I think the board should fill it out.
Yeah,
Want the chair to do it? Great. Chair will do it.
yeah.
Thank you. Hope I didn't delete that one. County engineer update.
Morning, Rich. Morning.
Morning.
Little update, the Echo Bridge, we're gonna pre-pour on that on Thursday, so they're really moving along quite well on that bridge. Haven't gotten any information yet on our Grant Bridge south of McIntyre. The contract's been signed, the mobilization payment's been paid, or at least the portion that we're required to pay, but I haven't heard anything from the contractor yet as to a timeline. So that's up in the air yet.
Working day started on it?
No, late, I think late start date's in June, so we're still okay, and he's probably looking at that too. but, Yeah.
Isn't there equipment down there?
On the one south of McIntyre.
Oh, I'm sorry,
No.
I thought I was on Echo.
No, the Echo Bridge is a pre-pour meeting, so they're getting ready to pour the deck.
Okay.
So that one's moving along quite well. And then I got, information from the paving contractor that they might see a gap in their schedule. They might want to hit the detour around, or the truck route around Osage earlier in the season than they had planned. So trying to work out a pre-con sometime in mid to late May. So I don't know when they plan on starting. Of course, we can have the pre-con and weather's going to change any sort of schedule they want to have. So, but looking at that coming up soon. I'm trying to go through the rock maps in the office, our annual rock maps, and a lot of the guys put level B roads on for rock, and considering funding and how things are lately, I want to evaluate whether or not, a lot of our level Bs have been kept up so well that people have put facilities on them, whether they're a hog facility, some people actually built houses on them. Those I don't know that we can just kind of neglect. But I wonder if we shouldn't start just, if it's a level B road and it's somebody's shortcut, that we don't continue to invest as much as we have in the past on rocking them. Kind of get a feeler from you guys on what you want to do. You guys have, the board has set what roads are level Bs and what aren't. But it seems as though no matter what, when we get a complaint on a level B road, it's always we always kind of end up doing something with it when we probably need to start looking more at the higher travel portions. However, we have a farm to market route that's it's a farm to market route that's a level B. We have one level B that gets 100 vehicles a day, so it's kind of hard to justify what we won't want to take care of because people are using the roads. If they're using them, then we should probably be maintaining them. So I'm going to go through and look at what we have for traffic count on some of these roads and what might be, if there's a facility there. But I just kind of giving you a heads up, we might want to look at maybe not, and it's been that way for a long time. Every year we're rocking roads, and it always seems like people are traveling on all of them. It's just a matter of the level B system was put together to minimize the maintenance on all of our routes, and it doesn't seem like that's always been. We don't plow all of them, but it seems like no matter what, the less maintained roads are a little bit softer, so they get beat up easier. And so just kind of a heads up that I'm going to kind of look at some of that stuff and maybe try to tone down how much maintenance we're putting into these level B roads, because they are minimum maintenance roads. So
We get funded differently for a level B as compared to the other. Level B.
I don't believe they fund us any different as far as road use tax goes. They look at our miles, but the board years and years ago defined what level B roads they wanted for route, and they were all picked because I'm assuming that they were all picked because nobody lived on them. So if nobody had a reason to really be on it because there wasn't a house there, wasn't a facility there, that we could reduce the amount of maintenance on those roads. But as time goes, people look at it and say, well, there's nobody living out here, so where I want to live. And then pretty soon you're building houses on roads because we've been maintaining them at a higher standard than we probably should have done for years. So just want to give you a heads up that if you start hearing complaints about level B roads, we probably need to take a better look at, at some of that. So.
Do you think that, you said that it was several years ago that we determined those level B roads, and like anything else that we're updating, as we move along, is it something that we maybe need to look at a couple of those that you have a high count on?
Yeah,
That we maybe need to
I'm afraid you're gonna
readjust?
find out that if we do that, we're gonna reduce more roads we're gonna reduce more level Bs than actually adding, but.
Right.
Or we can still leave them that way and just, we know it's hard to pick and choose, but if we're looking at traffic counts and things like that, we kind of understand that there's a lot of people using this road, that maybe it needs to be.
So there's a level B that's pretty heavily traveled, and
There's
so
a couple.
we're gonna have to maintain that.
And we have been. It's just that
Makes it tough.
deep down, it's hard for me to say, well, we've got this really good road. How do we just let it, get
Right.
destroyed and not take care of it? But sooner or later, we're going to face that challenge
Right.
of where's the funding at and when do we just
Yeah.
say enough's enough? But I'm going to look at that a little bit closer. I'm not saying we're not going to rock anything on level Bs this year, but there are some that we probably need to look at and say, look, it's 10 cars a day. Do we really need to? And I'll look at the history of when it was rock last too. So, I mean, it could have been 4 years ago. The guys know what roads get traveled and that's why they put them on their maps. But I look at it and go, really? We're going to, we've got a lot of class A roads that need rock on them too, that do we need to stick money into level Bs? But I'll evaluate that.
People have gotten used to level Bs being a rock road, and a level B is basically a dirt road.
Yes.
I mean, people don't even know that around here anymore, but
Right.
a level B is a dirt road.
Yep. And we've got a lot of level Bs that you wouldn't tell the difference if the sign wasn't up. So anyway. So there's that. And then, 3 years went by pretty fast. I'm gonna need to get a joint meeting set up with you in Worth County. In 3 years. Again, yeah, it's been that fast, so, we'll do contract stuff with the end again. So. Yeah, it goes faster than I want it to, but that means I'm getting older.
No.
So, and then I've been working I had a phone call with Tim Whipple on Friday on the right-of-way ordinance. Gonna get him some information, but we had a good conversation about what we're looking for, so. That's what I've got for you this morning.
Let's talk about 10-hour days a little bit. Yippee.
Mm-hmm.
Had a conversation with one of the road guys. It was a good conversation. And just naturally, the majority of them want 10-hour days. I expressed my concern is that I think we need 5-day coverage because the roads need to be prepped for the weekend. If they have Fridays off, then we're bringing people back in for either a whole road or for whatever, and it's being paid overtime. So that was my contention. And he was receptive to that. He understood that. Like I said, it was a good conversation. I did leave it that I am open to ideas if it can be figured out that we have 5-day coverage and we're not bringing people back in. I don't know how to do that. I know you've tried to do that. It hasn't worked real well.
It was a disaster.
The topic also came up that, guys, you get comp time, you want to take a Friday or Monday off, by all means, that's what you have vacation and comp time for, just to do it that way. Some drastic thoughts are that, well, okay, we change things around and, it doesn't work for this way, but you work 4 10-hour days, Fridays are your day off, got a rainy week, okay, Tuesday or Wednesday or middle of the week or whatever, we're sending you home because on Friday we're calling you all back. They're not gonna like that. That's pretty drastic. Another thought is, okay, we get rid of the comp time because we got Friday off and so we're not using comp time. So I guess where I'm leaving this is that there's been discussion and try to make it work for them. They maybe, if this is something they really want to do, maybe they need to invent a plan that does work. I don't know how that plan will even work, but I'm open to listening to it. That's my thoughts.
I know we tried one year about alternating schedules and we had a couple guys that didn't want to work 10s. We had a couple guys working 5/8s and we had staggered and it still didn't seem like we always had enough people when we needed them to do something. I mean, the middle of the week you had some people there, 10 hours, like, Tuesday through Thursday, you mostly had the whole crew there, but then you had 2 guys leaving before the other guy, while the other guys were still working because they were on 5/8s. We tried to do something there and I guess my thought's always been, we've had, over the years, and I know that the argument always is, we get more done in a 10-hour day out. It's still 40 hours in a week, regardless. And I know there's this whole more done in a day thing. I always kind of put it on the board's shoulders. You guys have the contract with the union, not the engineer. I know that I do give the input to that. I do always feel like we need to have a 5-day coverage. There's always things that seems like that pop up on a Friday that need attention, and, you know, sometimes it's even hard to get somebody called in to do it. If they've got that day off, they're gonna wanna do what they wanna do, and it's hard to get somebody in. And it seems to be that it's hard to get somebody in. You maybe can find somebody, but I don't know. I guess it's a difficult thing. I mean, I can work with 10-hour days if that's what the board wants to do, but it just seems like sometimes that when we do our rock run in the summertime, I know the quarry wants to run 5 days a week. That's sufficient for them. But if we've got them working 5 days, then we bring somebody in on overtime to work a Friday, which doesn't make a lot of sense to us. And I look at it from both sides. I'm also, you know, I wanna support my guys in the shop, but I also gotta understand there's a budget and there's other things that are happening on the administrative side that we need to look out for as far as taxpayer dollars and everything else. So it's really tough. We can adjust start times if people want to start earlier in the day. Since the summer is usually hotter, they can get home earlier, but we still have things pop up later in the day. So my thoughts kind of parallel with Jim, and always want representation during the week, because we can go back and forth and argue about, okay, so if it rains on a Tuesday, then I got 10 hours of no production on a Tuesday. But if it rains on a Friday, well, great, we just saved that money. But if we're on 8-hour days, I lose 8 hours versus I lose 10 hours, and I still have coverage. It's a back and forth scenario of what ifs. And I don't know.
Can you do a combination? Can you do something where they could come in for, say, 4 hours on Friday and get out early kind of thing? That would increase some work-life balance, and maybe a couple of days work longer days. And
well, we could look at,
is that a possibility? I know a lot of companies do that, you know, so that they still have time to spend with their family and friends, and,
well, and
you
that's,
know, and you still have a little coverage. It's not an 8-hour day of
well, and I
coverage.
get that. I mean, spend time with family and friends. We all want to do that.
Absolutely.
And so, and as Jim pointed out, with comp time and everything else, there's always that opportunity for
Right.
somebody to take a day off. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good, I do know that happens in other
Yeah,
businesses.
I'm just.
They might
trying-
work 9-hour days and then half a day on Friday just to button things up, but, so I mean, there's always those options, but I kind of throw it out
That
to
might
you
be
guys.
a-
You guys are the ones that eventually or ultimately decide on, because I know the contract, you know, has you guys as the ultimate hammer as far as whether they're allowed the 10-hour days or not. And like I said, I want to support the guys, but I also got to consider what we're looking for in service to the public, so.
I sure like 5-day coverage. That's what they're there for. I mean, it's, if we, you know.
We may we may not have rain all summer and whatever, but.
I'm willing to listen. Also.
And I know in 1 year, I think it might have been even in Worth County where we weren't working 10-hour days, but we started earlier so they could be done earlier. That was kind of nice, because usually the mornings are a little bit cooler, and
Right.
by about 2:30, everybody's hot and sweaty. But then you kind of almost have to adjust the lunchtime, because if they take lunch at noon, then there's only an hour and a half left. Do you really get anything done in that last hour and a half? And then are we really ahead? I mean, that's a
Right.
different scenario, but it's a scenario that could be looked at, so.
I'd agree with you on the 5-day coverages, because I was on both sides of it, so was Jim on the 10-hour days. I don't agree with getting more done on a 10-hour day than an 8-hour day.
I mean, the grand scheme of things, we're still getting 40 hours of production a week. So
The individual was, just, again, it was a good conversation, but we just wondered why when you mentioned it that last time, that there was nothing said, it was just quiet or whatever, and he just thought, well, I would like to at least hear a discussion as far as why you think that way. We've kind of done that here, and I also told him that at a meeting, I will have it as far as somebody, or if it'll would be me, I will do it. Discussion and possible action on it 10-hour days. So we will vote on it. Not today, maybe not next week, but as I said earlier, we've all discussed it. You've tried to make it work. I'm at the point where, okay, guys, if it's something that you want, you bring something to us that is going to work. But for me,
Right.
It's 5 8-hour days. It seems to work. And right now, that's where I'm at.
And I know before even when I was county engineer and prior to that, they were doing 10-hour days, and it just, it seemed like a lot of things popped up, and it just made it. And you can always say, well, we'll get it Monday, and sometimes it's one of those things that can wait till Monday, but sometimes it can't. And then you're waiting to react.
I think you gotta have some coverage on Friday, however you can work that
And
out.
I'll try to look at some other options, your suggestion is a good one. It's one to consider, that, if something happens,
And it's not necessarily just always on us.
Yeah, I
do.
Right,
I mean, it's kind of, okay, come up with a plan.
right.
We've tried
something that
stuff.
works. Because I know the last time we tried to stagger things, I won't swear at the board meeting, but it wasn't,
Well, I can see where that would be a nightmare.
it was. You're trying to schedule
Schedule.
maintenance projects going on, and, oh, this guy's leaving, he's got his 8 hours, and we've got, 2 hours left to work, and you're short 1 or 2 guys, depending what the process is.
But if you do the leave at noon on Friday and the tree falls down later in the afternoon, you're gonna have to call somebody back anyway.
I mean, and that, you're right, we could have that even after hours too, but you're right.
Sign goes down.
Yeah, so. Anyway,
Yep.
glad we had the discussion. I just mentioned it last week, and I know it wasn't an action item last week when I just said, hey, look, I know I had to get it documented that they voted on it, they wanted this. Give us a week to think about, have a discussion. Now we got a little more time, but maybe come up, and maybe if somebody comes in the office and they'll just say, do you have another option? Do you have something that we can consider? So.
All right, anything else for the county
Is
engineer?
there anything on your guys' schedules that wouldn't allow, would you guys want a joint meeting? Does it work better Monday, Tuesday? After me, it's always been kind of early, because I know Worth County has board meetings Mondays, we have them Tuesdays. I know the earlier the better in the week, or maybe there's some day that doesn't work for you. I'll shoot out an email and you guys can let me know.
Rain day.
A rain day? Okay. I'll try and make
That's
a
hard to
rain day
set up
work.
there. That's hard to set up.
In
Should've had
fact,
it
you had it
yesterday.
yesterday, you missed it.
Yeah,
Yeah, right, so.
And it always involves all of us, right? Not
Well,
just two.
yeah, I think both boards have always, in the past, we've met. Seems like Carpenter seems to be the middle of everything, but we've always met there, just had a real quick discussion and the story, but, I've always wanted, it's probably easier to everybody sit down together at the table.
I'll make it work as long as I know in advance for the.
Yeah, it'll be, and it's usually during the, you usually try to figure around noon or something that, everybody's kind of got a little bit of break in there sometimes, so.
Fun stuff.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Okay, approve Mitchell County investment policy. Shannon put this on.
So in the audit, Elizabeth noted that we had an investment policy that Arlene Brown wrote in 1993,
I see that.
referencing Senate File 2036, which is the original, draft legislation that said counties have to have an investment policy. So we jumped right on it. And they haven't touched it since. So that was something we had to rewrite. Specifically, she just wanted us to address the actual code, not the Senate file. It's chapter 12B is what says counties must have an investment policy and set way to do things. So essentially, I could have just gone in and changed the Senate file to 12B. But there are templates, as Aaron said too. I didn't reinvent the wheel. There are templates of investment policies out there. So I did find one that I thought was appropriate. It just discusses the scope of the investments, delegation of who invests and who's allowed to do what, the things we're gonna invest in. There's the objective is safety, liquidity, and return. Safety first, liquidity second, return third. Prudence, diversification, prohibited policies. We cannot do reverse purchase agreements. It's all spelled out. Does anybody have any questions? It's a 9-page document.
I read it all last week.
So you went through it and.
I typed it. word by word and from Dubuque policy, and I typed it word by word, so I know it. I didn't just find it replaced. So there are some things that I may need to review, like the percentages that are in there now that wasn't something before. It's may not happen immediately, but I will get to the percentages of disbursement, diversification. Some banks have a lot of CDs more than others, and I have not ran the numbers, but it will get there hopefully by the end of the year. I'm pulling some out and stuff. So right now, we may be in line with the percentage of diversification. We may not. I can't say that. I was really working on getting this done so that we could tell Elizabeth we got it done.
So are we approving this? Or
I guess.
even if you don't have those?
Well, it's just the policy, it's a percentage, it's best practices,
Okay.
and I will get to the best practices. I'm just saying I can't say, yes, I'm at this percent because
Right.
we weren't following this before we had it and weren't really doing it.
So yeah, we are approving this.
We're approving it.
today.
Right. The appendix just says the actual chapter citations. We do have a copy of the bond. I got that from Rachel, thank you, because it's required that we have that in there. And then also the last page would be, in there is my list of investment limits. So in that I have reviewed regularly. Every couple of years I do go back through and think, okay, is this good for our balances? And last time we did that was April of 24. So we're still good in that. It does at the end say that we're gonna review this every 3 years.
Yay.
So that will be on the schedule. Any questions?
Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve the Mitchell County investment policy.
Pam made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Jim, second. Any further discussion?
Roll call, Todd,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Sydney,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
Mark.
Motion passes.
In my office, Rachel will have a copy of it, and then per the policy, I'll send it out to all of my group email to all the banks.
Okay.
So that they know, because there is new things, if they have any reviews that don't go well or have issues, this requires them to notify us immediately, so.
Thank you. Thank you for doing all that work.
Yeah.
Have a good day. Number 8, approved liquor license for Sunny Bray Golf and Country Club. Looks like we have a Class C retail alcohol license for 12 months, effective date May 21st, 2025. And we have insurance information. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Jim made a motion, is there a second? Todd, second. Any further discussion?
Roll call, Pam,
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Sydney,
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Motion passes. Number 9, approved liquor license for Acorn Park Golf and Recreation. This is also a Class C retail alcohol license for 12 months, effective date June 21st, 2025. And they have insurance coverage. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Mark made motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Pam, second. Any further discussion?
Roll call, Mark.
Aye.
Sydney.
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Pam.
Aye.
Motion passes. Approved clerk of court report for March of $2,361.23. Their motion to approve.
I'll move to make a motion to approve clerk court report for March.
Todd made motion, is there a second?
Second.
Jim, second. Any further discussion?
Roll call, Jim,
Aye.
Sydney,
Aye.
Pam,
Aye.
Mark.
Aye.
Todd.
Aye.
Motion passes. Discussion and possible action on solutions fiscal year 26 annual support agreement. We put this on. And anyone get a chance to go through this?
I did start to go through it. It is a lot. I So I'm a little confused in that they've got the $60,000 support and then they're referencing a $30,000 for the silver. And I'm also wondering, which is one of the reasons I asked Ryan if he could take a look at this. Is there things now that he's doing where we can maybe remove some of their services? Because I'm not sure how proficient they are at solutions. Rachel, you'd have a much better handle on that.
Yep, the 60,000, so all of those are items that each department uses, so
Right.
we need those. The silver plan, I don't know, Melissa hasn't put it on, she didn't. The service has, I mean, we can talk about it, not been great, but that's what we were getting with them. They would go in and help us, but now, I don't know, their rates are really high, but I don't know what else we do, because there's things that I think Ryan has definitely helped us with, but then there's things that Ryan can't do that are in solutions that kind of put you in a corner.
Because of how the program's
Yeah.
structured. I just had a conversation with a couple of other supervisors in regards to solutions issues in the last couple of weeks, and they're thinking the same thing, you know, they kind of put you in a spot, but they're trying to look at other options too, you know, their own IT departments, and so that's. So we'd be paying $60,000 a year, which is what we're currently paying. Well, it went up, what, 7%?
Yeah.
And then another 30 on top of that. So I guess my thought is maybe we can have Ryan take a look at this and see if there's anything on the 30,000 that, you know, that we maybe don't need that level of a support from an entity that's been questionable in the last year. That's just,
We just have to have this done before July.
oh,
I heard my name. I do have that document and I'll review it for sure.
okay,
And I'll get you my recommendations on if there's anything.
Yeah,
we can
'cause
chop
I-
off.
yeah.
So do you, only a week, or
No, over the week. I got them yesterday. I got the documents, so.
do you want to wait until next week, Pam?
Yeah,
You can work
if
with
it's
Ryan?
all right, I think maybe if we could table that, maybe we'd all be able to, maybe Rachel can share a little more information, or other departments can share their concerns, frustrations.
I'll also bring it up when I go to Howard County with all the solutions,
That'd be a
IT
good
folks, and see if they have any insight that I don't have as well.
Or if you can get any feedback from any of your other IT, ISACs buddies, that would be,
Yeah, I definitely do the best I can, but I'll give that a read for sure for next week.
Let's, put it on for next week.
It wasn't when Joe Roney was here helping with our IT guy, that he suggested when Ryan gets a little more in his feet, that we could eliminate level. Would it work if Casey and Ryan would work together a little bit? and-
Well, that's good to know that Joel said that. I'll double check with him for sure, because I'll be around him
and then
at Howard County, so no, that's good to know. It's not something I heard, so.
Get some information.
that's a
from
good
him.
idea, that maybe if we had to, rather than hiring solutions, maybe we could,
Yeah.
you know, if he's open to that, or
Ryan and Casey would.
Ryan
mind
and
working.
Casey could,
Casey would be cheaper
Cover it.
than these guys.
Okay, yeah, definitely worth looking into. I'll let you know once I get it ready next week.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
We will table that. Okay, we're going to number 12, further discussion on changes with county social services. Good morning, Megan. Good morning, Ashley.
Right, I'm gonna pass around updated job descriptions for the ones that I'd sent you via email. There was a couple format changes and spacing, and under the reasoning ability, it had said work objections versus work objectives. And so I wanted to make sure to get that corrected. And also, yeah, Yeah, and then also I did just indicate in the footer an approval date on the bottom.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so the first draft was sent to you on Friday. You should all receive that via email. And then this is the updated, again, the corrections are the objectives versus objections. And then there was on the social services coordinator job description, some spacing issues, so corrected those for you. So did you guys have a chance to read through those, or questions that you have, or any clarification, or?
I reviewed them. I didn't see any issues with them. Defines the responsibilities.
I plan on meeting with you guys tomorrow to
Yes.
go over this, and I also, just on my own behalf, once I get done meeting with you guys, I asked department heads if they want to sit in and kind of discuss this as well and get their inputs on what these jobs would be entailing. And so, once I sit in with you, I was gonna have that meeting with department heads and see what they're kind of feeling in the meeting. That could be next week or something like that. Sure. So, I appreciate all the hard work that you guys put into this.
So, I reviewed this as well. I'm a little bit puzzled about the social services part of the HR position and the reporting structure. In the last few weeks, I've had an opportunity to visit with many other public health, general assistants, and some other counties, and I was able to visit with a few at the end of last week as to what their steps are now, what they're doing, and it varies. Some are holding off and waiting to see. I did receive from another county the two positions that the Iowa Primary Care Association has posted, and I'm assuming that both of you are online and reviewing those positions as well. One of them looks to be more similar to what your position currently is, Megan, and the navigator one would be similar to what Ashley is currently doing. The nice thing, as I read through those job descriptions, is that you can still maintain your position in your own county, and that so it's District 3, and it's, what is there, 8 counties, however, so, and so I'm still doing some comparing as well. And I too had visited with a couple of the lead department heads and would like to get some more input from them as to how they would view an HR position. Mostly, I would like to see our general assistants roll up under our Board of Health, because our Board of Health is county-based, not hospital-based. And so many counties they either already were, or even if they're social services people were doing it before, they are funneling that general assistance for their county under the Board of Health. And I think that's a good fit with the mental health situations, the Medicare type situations, that it would be a good fit from that standpoint. So I too am working to get more information.
I would just comment that general assistance, that program is for low income and needy individuals. It has nothing to do with mental
Right.
health or disabilities.
Right.
It's strictly income based.
Yeah, and I understand that and got a lot better input from the housing people actually, because some of the seminars were geared towards those kinds of things and that kind of assistance that various entities could provide. And many of the counties, that function of general assistance is still handled under the Board of Health.
So I want to speak to you here. I have a primary care position, so I don't know if you saw in the job description, I had an opportunity to reach out to them and ask some questions because it had said that you must be on site at a location that they, on site at a location within the district. And so I reached out to them to ask them where that on site is. And it required that for 2 days a week.
Right.
And they said that we do not know yet where that location would be. So yes, it is within the county, perhaps, but the on-site location is required 2 days a week, but they don't know where that's going to be within the 16 county district. So I did reach out and ask some questions about the job description.
Right,
so.
right. And that would be more of a lead on the behavioral system
I believe
as a
I believe
navigator.
the system navigator one said that you must be on site 2 days a
Right.
week as well.
Right.
So both positions, the lead
Yep.
and the system navigator.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just so you know, that could be Marshall County, or that could be,
So
where that
travel
would be required.
2 And I understood that you would probably have some travel, no matter what, you would
Within
have
Mitchell
some
County.
travel.
Within Mitchell
Mitchell
County.
With these positions, yeah.
Right, right.
And then I just wanted to comment on the question about the social service part of the other job description, the HR job description. And really the thought behind that is, I'm a part-time employee right now.
Right.
We look at that position as being part-time going forward. And when I'm not there, or even when I am there, I'm on the phone or I'm meeting with someone, Megan does act as that backup. She serves those people who walk through the door when that phone rings. She does that same information and referral piece of things. And so with that continuing as a part-time position, I do think having her as that backup is, seems like a good idea, or it makes sense anyways. If you had a question about that.
Yeah, is it possible, and maybe this is a side conversation that we should have too, is it possible that you could work with and or train someone in the Board of Health Department to be that backup, which is what I'm hearing that many of these other counties have been or are moving towards.
Yeah, I think it would be a capacity thing.
Right.
I think that was one of their comments, that they wouldn't have capacity and would need to hire an employee. So I guess that would be a capacity question for them.
Right. So if they hired the position, if that position fell under the Board of Health, then they could be backup for you, as well as, one of the comments that I'm hearing a lot is, we don't have one person that does just one thing, which I'm sure you're all very well aware of in the area that you work within. You have different references for different things.
And I think you're seeing
contacting.
that with these
Absolutely.
descriptions. There's multiple facets to both
Right,
of those
right.
descriptions.
So are you saying that the Public Health Board of Health doesn't have enough to do, and so that they have time to incorporate all these other jobs?
I'm saying that if you hire a part-time person to handle our general assistance, that general assistance alone is not necessarily a 24-hour-a-week job. From what I'm hearing and from various other counties. So I'm trying to say, let's facilitate a part-time position and put it under the Board of Health so that there can be some cooperative working between those positions. I'm definitely not saying that Board of Health doesn't have enough to do.
I wouldn't, yes.
But I'm thinking that they're already in the same building, physical building. I'm trying to explore possibilities. We have to keep our general assistants alive. And so we have to find a way to facilitate that part of our program. And so I'm trying to think of the most cooperative way that we can structure that within our county's budget.
At this time, I guess I'm not supportive of the Board of Health doing this because the Board of Health has their own things that they do. In the job descriptions that are in front of us, there's a number of different things that are being proposed that would be done. And general assistance is not the only thing that's on there. And HR is not the primary thing also. There's also called the mental health advocate, which we pay somebody else out of county to do it. So there's a number of things on here that can be done rather than rolling this over into another department, which is already busy enough, and then having to hire a part-time individual in that. That does not make sense to me to do that.
Well, you're talking about hiring a part-time individual.
No, you talked about Board of Health, they'd have to hire a part-time individual for the general assistance part of it if they did it.
I'm saying that you roll that position under your Board of Health, your part-time position.
She's saying Ashley's position.
Yeah,
Oh, you should. Okay.
yeah,
She's
All right.
saying that.
right. I'm sorry, I may not have
I
been
thought you
very
meant
clear. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So she's saying Ashley would roll under the Board of Health
I see.
That position, because we
position.
have to be careful that, you
And
know, we're creating
possibly
positions.
if another nurse could be trained to help Ashley when she needs it.
I see.
Right,
That's what she's
right.
saying.
I'm
but
sorry.
Okay.
Not to hire another person.
Okay.
No,
I-
no,
Other
no,
than
no,
Ashley.
no.
If
Right.
we were to cut ties with that advocate, isn't there a timeline or something that, because we have a 28 agreement with the head, I mean, they're just not gonna say, here you go, are they?
It was either 30, 60, or 90 days, I can't remember, that we have that. Well,
So it's something that we have to look into to cut ties with them, or dissolve it.
And I just want to backtrack to the moving the one position under the Board of Health and training their staff to be a backup or support. You would be wasting a resource by not utilizing Megan's experience in social services and the information and referral side of things. So, I mean, you would kind of be limiting that then strictly to HR and not any of that information and referral. So you would be, I just want to say, losing that resource.
And I understand that, but we have to take a half a step back and say, we're creating a position.
100%.
We're not awarding a job. And there's a
I
big
agree.
difference. And I get that, the experience. Don't misunderstand me there.
I just think we need to continue to look at this as, it's a good opportunity for Mitchell County. And we have two very good people that are willing to do this. If we can make it work, I think we need to keep moving forward with it.
So just can I give a little update? Okay, so yes, so we have had the opportunity to meet with almost all of you. Sydney will be meeting tomorrow individually, so appreciate your time and efforts with meeting with us and learning a little bit more about what we do on a daily basis. We did get an email this morning from Greg that the sheriff would like to meet sometime this week to discuss some ideas for the future. So we're going to get something scheduled with him this week. And yeah, you guys both have the job description. You all have the job descriptions in front of you. So I guess I just want to know, like, for the future and how we move forward with this, if the board feels like we would be ready to take, discussion action next week, or what your timeline is going forward.
Do you need to figure out that agreement? Will you look into that?
say that again.
The agreement that you guys were just discussing.
Oh, yeah, I can look that up real quick. I also have another county that is interested in sharing of the HR side of this. Haven't reached out back to her because kind of having need to know what this board wants to do rather than indicate something and it doesn't happen. So that's another way of actually helping to fund this. The mental health advocate is another way to help fund this. Yeah, things are still in the air.
Let's say a couple weeks.
All right, appreciate that.
Yeah. We can keep having discussion on the agendas if you would like. I'll have my update with you tomorrow, so. Anything else?
I would put it on weekly.
Okay. Then we'll have it on again next week.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the work.
All right. Meetings attended.
I have none.
Me, had none.
I had a Central Iowa Juvenile Detention meeting on Friday, lasted quite a while. They're discussing updating policies, calculating part-time off, and they're accruing time from year to year for PTO, that kind of thing, and how that impacts our budget. And we're also redefining the formats of our budget and financial reports. I also went to the North Iowa Housing Conference. I went to different meetings than Todd, so I went to the support services, NIACOG Housing Trust Fund, HUD, talked about available programs for funding home repair and home rehabilitation. They talked about these portable access ramps now that they're using, and they just keep them like in a trailer, and then that way they can put them onto someone's home, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a permanent structure. And so they had gotten some donations to get a few of those. Some counties had done that, and that program seems to be working quite well. There was strategies to facilitate aging in place and AARP programs. The afternoon sessions were community partnerships to achieve housing. Beacon of Hope, Shines Here, Freedom in His Grace. They talked about programs that they're conducting for people that are left homeless or have mental illness issues, and how those programs are working in Mason City and how they may or may not be able to be used by Mitchell County in the future. Of course, with all of the social services upheaval here currently, a lot of programs are kind of in a holding pattern, so to speak. And community partnerships for obstacles, in other words, addressing public perceptions around mental illness and homelessness. Northern Lights, 43 Iowa, and Friends of the Family, some of the programs that we would be contacting if we have someone that's having some issues. That's some of the people that Ashley would be putting them in touch with, or our public health department is calling for assistance. So good meetings.
I had a county social service meeting. They're still working on their exit plan. Those vehicles that they had available, they went to 3 dealers, and the dealer that they bought them from gave them the best price, so they're just gonna sell them back to that dealer and be done with those. And the cell phones, they're gonna donate to a program that the gal came and talked about that cooperative meeting the other day, and so they're gonna donate them to a good cause.
I went to the North Iowa Housing Conference. Interesting that some of the housing incentives we're already doing. I thought that was pretty neat. Kind of what I came out of it was there are developers out there, and most of them are gonna do the urban areas, because that's the 50 to 80 to 110 units and stuff, but they have went into the rural areas, and if, with Jenny and economic development, if we could catch somebody's eye just for like a 24 or a 50 unit housing, that would be huge. I think we had a while back, somebody was in the area, but it just didn't pencil out.
Yeah.
So we just kind of need to stay on that. Then I had a economic development meeting last night, and Jenny went over that. So I won't say any more on that. And then I left that one, and I had a fair board meeting. That one, they went through quite fast. Everything's kind of coming together till we got to the building. Still waiting for the cement. They kind of leveled it off. They're gonna start putting hydrants, and the electrical will be going in. So hopefully, with weather permitting, they can continue on working on that building. So.
All right.
And, just one more thing, so it is official, Friday night out, we'll be at the fairgrounds. That'll be June 6th, July 11th, and August 9th. So,
In regards to the mental health advocate, it's a 60-day written notice. 60-day written notice.
Thank you. Vendor management update.
Jack's Dairy Incorporated, 331 620th Avenue, Adams, Minnesota. Lipton Finisher Farm, 4845 at Kirkwood Avenue, Sinansker. Freezing 1 site, 2059 420th Street, Osage. Freezing 2 site, 2699 390th Street, Osage. Freezing 3 site, 2281 410th Street, Osage. And Freezing 4 site, 2552 410th Street, Osage.
Thank you. Public comments.
I'll go, I guess. I don't know, last week the surveys from Summit were up in the Echo and Dancer Avenues. And I stopped and asked them for their copy of the court order to do the survey. As Sheriff Beaver had suggested, they really had no idea what I was talking about. So I did call Sheriff Beaver because he wanted to be there to look at that court order. And so he talked to them. I don't know what the end of that story exactly was, but I did have 2 neighbors write statements that they would like a copy of that court order. So I don't know, Pam, if you want these for your constituents.
Oh, sure.
And then maybe pass them on to Sheriff Beaver or to Aaron Murphy.
Okay, I can do that. Yep. Provide them to the rest of the board as well. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Keith, did you have anything?
I had a lot of comments, but you don't have enough time to go on.
3 minutes per comment.
But
3 minutes.
my comments are up. No, I comment as a citizen of Mitchell County and also as an elected official of Mitchell County. And we are a government subordinate to yours. I make it my duty to come to these meetings and find out what you folks are up to and what you're planning. And if you will not let someone speak while you're making those plans, it's kind of a moot subject, isn't it? The things cooked before you got any say-so as to what's going on. That's my comment as an elected official. I come and sit through the whole meetings. and wait for the last comment of the day. I believe that you all are dedicated to what you're doing, but other people need to know what you're doing so that we can somehow be part of this government. You've got a lot more dollars to work with than the towns do. Mayors don't get paid very much in Mitchell County, I'll tell you that much. I'm not coming here because I think it's fun to go to meetings. I'm coming here because I'm trying to be a presence in the government that the government has. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Any other comments?
I just have a question. Are the public comments part of a meeting also recorded? So that they're on the recording?
Yep. We do not end the meeting until we adjourn.
And the microphone is a good idea, because it is hard to hear the speakers in the back.
We will adjourn the meeting at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yep.
I didn't see a wave on the line.
Hi, it's Lisa Ritzert. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay. I just wanted to agree with the mayor, and I appreciate him coming and being a part of the county government. Also, the public comment allows for the people to participate in the local government. It offers governing officials the opportunity to hear decision-making questions, informing input, and diverse perspectives. I'd like to share my appreciation for the members of the public who come and take the time to be engaged, and also my appreciation for the supervisors for their respectfulness to the public and for their service to the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Any other public comments? All right. We will adjourn the meeting at 10:01. I wish this thing would